Back in July, Ford announced that it would potentially fire lots of people. Initially, it said 4,000. Others said 8,000. Well, Ford's just fired another 3,000. Those numbers are starting to add up. Now, Herbert Diess suggested something similar could potentially happen at Volkswagen. He never went and did it. He got fired for suggesting it. Jim Farley, on the other hand, he's doing it. No one is saying a word about firing him. Interesting how two different companies are approaching the shift to electrification entirely differently. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. It's great to have you. You know what? This is really quite an interesting scenario here, isn't it? I reported a couple of months back when Ford actually fired 200 engineers, and it gave them literally an hour to pack their things and get out. True story. I'm not making this up. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about that. That was a bit of an interesting conundrum. Ford did take a little bit of criticism for that, quite rightly, fairly. Imagine if your boss came in and told you, piss off, just get out. And that was it. End of the day. That's what happened. I thought that was a bit harsh. Now, I understand Ford why they did it. They're firing engineers that work on internal combustion engines, and they see no future for those engineers. Frankly, that's fair enough. I mean, if you're an engineer who works on internal combustion engines and you did not see the writing on the wall over the past 5 years, you're probably not really that bright, to be truthful. That said, probably wouldn't take that much retraining to find some valuable employment in the electric car revolution, because this is what is going on. Now, back in July, US car maker Ford said it was preparing to cut several thousand jobs to reduce costs and intensify its transition to the electric revolution. Ford expected to announce the elimination of 4,000 jobs within the coming weeks. However, Bloomberg said around 8,000 jobs could be affected. So I'm not sure whether or not this latest news means we're adding 4,000 to the additional 3,000 jobs that are about to be fired as well. Ford scheduled a conference call to give an update on the same exact day they announced these firings to their transformation to electric vehicles. Key Ford executives will provide details on how the company is building out its industrial system to reach a global production run rate of 600,000 EVs, growing to more than 2 million EVs annually by 2026, the company said in a statement at the time. As we've said lots of times, to deliver our Ford Plus transformation and an exciting and disruptive new era of electric and connected vehicles, we're reshaping our work and modernizing our organization across all of the automotive business units and the entire company, the spokesperson said. So why are they firing them? Well, Ford went on to say, we've laid out clear targets for our cost structure so that we're lean and fully competitive with the best in the industry. Within the last 24 hours, Ford has announced it'll cut a further 3,000 jobs. This was in a letter to employees that was obtained by Automotive News. The affected employees will be informed this week. In other words, you and I are finding out this information before the people who are about to be fired find out that they're about to be fired. Kind of strange, right? Building this future requires changing and reshaping virtually all aspects of the way we have operated for more than a century, CEO Jim Farley and Ford said in the letter. It requires focus, clarity, and speed. And as we have discussed in recent months, it means redeploying resources and addressing our cost structure, which is uncompetitive versus traditional and new competitors. I just want to reiterate what Jim Farley just said. For the clowns out there saying, no, you're wrong, Viking, you're wrong. You're wrong about Ford, you're wrong about all the legacy automakers. Well, what did Herbert Diess say about Volkswagen's competitiveness with Tesla? He said it takes them 30 hours to build an EV and it takes Tesla 10. What did Jim Farley just say? It requires focus, clarity, and speed. And as we have discussed in recent months, it means redeploying resources and addressing our cost structure, which is uncompetitive versus traditional and new competitors, i.e. Tesla. Now, the 3,000 jobs affected consist of 2,000 salaried positions and 1,000 agency jobs, the Automotive News report said. Ford confirmed the authenticity of the letter. I find it kind of strange right now that Elon Musk is hated by so many people all around the world. He seems to be enemy number one. He's replaced Donald Trump as the key enemy. People even seem to hate him more than Vladimir Putin. Seriously, I'm seeing this comment everywhere saying that if he was to become president, if Elon Musk was to become president of America, people are saying that he would be 1,000 times worse than Donald Trump. He'd be a dictator. He'd be a version of Hitler. This is the kind of thing people are saying. I find it weird that Jim Farley is firing people left, right, and center, and no one's blinking an eye. No one cares. No one says a word. Now, Farley detailed not only the elimination of some positions, but also the reorganization and simplifying of functions within the company. Sounds a bit like Elon himself. Ford made the decision earlier this year to separate its ICE and EV business into two divisions. This helped organize projects based on powertrains, as ICE vehicles fell under Ford Blue, while EVs are considered Ford Model E projects. And it also makes it really easy for Ford. When they want to fire people, they just say, well, we know where to fire. We know where they all are. They're over here at the Ford ICE division building engines. Fire them. That's pretty much what's happening. Ford is arguably, according to Teslarati, the most committed to an electrified future among legacy automakers. Now, while General Motors has said a lot about all the efforts it's making to transition to EVs, Ford has been, actually starting to deliver EVs. GM, not so much. So kudos to Ford for that. The Mustang Mach-E and Ford F-150 Lightning are already successful product launches from Ford, and the company is making any changes necessary to stay on schedule with its transition to EVs. Unlike GM, who promised the world and said that by the end of October they'd have 20 electric cars, 20 different models on the road. That's what they said back in 2017. I made a video about that. I'll put a link in the description below. Mary Barra promised, and yeah, we know what she's like when it comes to making promises. But the media, they don't care. They're not interested in holding her to account. Why? Probably because General Motors pays for lots of marketing. Maybe just an idea there. None of this changes the fact that this is a difficult and emotional time, Farley said in the letter. The people leaving the company this week are friends and co-workers, and we want to thank them for all they have contributed to Ford. We have a duty to care for and support those affected, and we will live up to this duty, providing not only benefits, but significant help to find new career opportunities. Personally, I don't think there's any genuineness to that statement at all. Really, if Ford really felt that way, if Jim Farley really felt that way, I think he'd probably go, you know what, we're going to retrain you all to work in our new electric vehicle division. We can train you all. It's going to take time, but we can do it. But it's easier to fire them and just hire people who are more aptly qualified rather than retrain existing employees. So that's why they're doing it. Last week, Ford sold green bonds to fund its electric vehicle projects. Bloomberg reported Ford sold $1.75 billion in debt, which was expected to mature in 10 years. Assuming the company's still around in 10 years, that could work out if you're one of the people who bought some of that debt. These bonds were sold to help fund and finance new and existing green projects. Now, as of the time of this report, within the last 24 hours, Ford stock is down about 5%, trading at $15 US. Disclosure, I own Ford stock, but only $10 US. I'm not stupid enough to buy any more than that, but hey, you never know, I could be wrong. The truth is, by this time next year, Ford stock very well could have doubled, and I mean, still, it wouldn't mean a lot, would it? Now, a lot of people said that Tesla and Rivian were clearly in trouble because they were reducing headcount in some areas. And specifically, they said that most recently about Tesla when Elon talked about cutting their workforce by 10%. He didn't say they cut their workforce overall by 10%. People on the factory floor are not being cut. He talked about cutting parts of their workforce that were clearly unneeded and inefficient. He sounded pretty similar to Jim Farley, to be honest. Well, personally, I'm going to say, even though this sucks for these employees, big time, really does suck, I think Ford had to do it. The reality is they have a lot of debt. They have a lot of factories that build internal combustion engine vehicles, a lot of staff that all they've done for their careers is work on those types of vehicles, which are really no longer relevant in the future automotive industry that Ford really wants to be part of. Ford wants to still exist. And in order to still exist, they pretty much have to go down this route. So even though it does suck for those guys, and I do genuinely feel for them, I understand where Ford is coming from. But tell me, do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks again, guys, for subscribing. Great to have you. Bye-bye.